Let's go.
Good morning, Service Alliance community. How you doing, Jason?
I'm creating my highlight reel one chaotic day at a time.
I love it.
How about yourself?
Aren't we all? Sometimes I feel like I need a cameraman just to follow me around. Just ask me questions all day.
I tell you, when I was doing electrical work, I had several people be like, man, you need to have your own reality show and have people follow you around, getting up in the attic and crawl spaces and all the weird stuff you come across. Should have took them up on that. I could have been, Mike Holmes 2.0.
Yeah, right. Never know what you're going to get or
You're
who
in a
you're
fire
going to run
truck right
into.
now. Huh. Tell you, the emergency services in our area last 2 days have been busy. Yesterday morning about this time, saw a bunch of ambulances. I guess there's a bad wreck. Now I'm hearing a fire truck. Everybody's okay.
Same around here.
Yeah.
All right. Today we're talking about your team doesn't care about your goals until you tie them to your paycheck, to their paychecks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some goals.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Most people think that sharing their goals is leadership. They get the team together, they throw a big number on the whiteboard and expect everybody to get fired up. But I think here's the problem. So we got our quarterly meeting today. So this is fresh on the brain. Your team doesn't care about your freedom, your revenue goals, or that dream vacation that you're wanting. They don't. They care about their paycheck. They care about their schedule, and they care about their stress level. So if your goals don't connect to their wallet, I'd say don't expect them to connect emotionally either. That's
exactly.
I may be on a tangent this morning about this, but it's just kind of how I feel.
I mean, it's true. I mean, it's hard to manage a team that doesn't buy in to what the vision is, right?
I feel we've got a good team. We've got our core people at the business. Heather's been with us, gosh, almost since the very beginning. She's been with us since 2019. So what, 6 years? Ashley's been with us over 4 years. We got a couple of that hit over 1 year. And then you get some of those that are just the revolving door. It's the paycheck. So we got a few who are here because of, I want to say safety and security is important to them. And so for them, they see this as a job that they're secure in and that they really enjoy being part of. And then you got the revolving door people that it doesn't matter if they're here, if they're Starbucks or wherever else, it's just a paycheck to them. And those are the people that don't really fit our culture, in my opinion, and they don't last long. And we're okay with that because I think it's better to weed out those type of people quick than have them stick around and be that, what is it, where it just creates lack of better words, cancer, right? So
yeah.
It's I think it's gonna be a good episode.
It's really important, like you said, to weed those people out in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's so worth spending the extra time to go the extra mile and learn that up front.
Yeah.
So you can dodge a bullet later. I cringe when I have to hire people because I know how much work and how much effort and time I am going to spend doing that on the front end.
Yeah.
But it's
worth it.
It's better than the cringe of dealing with it afterwards.
Yeah.
For many months.
Remind me, I know there's a couple spots in here we can talk about DISC and using DISC in your hire process. And I'll talk about how that's been so important for us and it's helped us out so much. So,
yeah,
but we'll get into prayer and scripture and then get this ball rolling, huh?
Absolutely. Let me pray us in.
All right.
All right. Good. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to this crowd and just to come before you and give you praise. I ask that you give us wisdom and not ambition, but to turn that ambition into action. One thing we know is action beats motivation. And when we are drawn to action, and especially when we do it with you holding us up, we know that we can do great things and that you want great things for us. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. That's a
All
good prayer. Yeah.
So,
Scripture wise, let's go with Luke 10:7. And that says, the worker deserves his wages. Pretty simply put. I don't know if I dive into that a little bit further or not, because that's 10:7. That's a good one. So stay there, eating and drinking, whatever they give you, for the worker deserves his wages. Do not move around from house to house. So the context in this passage, Jesus is sending out the disciples to spread the message of God. And he instructs them to stay in one place, accept hospitality, and not go from home to home seeking better accommodations. So that phrase, the worker deserves his wages, emphasizes that those who labor in service, especially in ministry or mission, are worthy of being supported by the people they serve. It's a principle of fair compensation for honest work, I think. Bottom line, what it comes down to. Yeah.
absolutely.
I think people don't rise to your goals, they rise to your incentives. And you can cast a vision all day, but vision without structure just becomes noise. So just going back to that, if your goals don't hit their paycheck, their motivation won't hit your expectations. Yeah.
So let's look at how this affects a lot of techs out there. We see techs doing the minimum because they don't see an upside. How many of you left a job because you didn't see an upside? That's how
Yeah.
most business owners start their own business, right?
Yep.
Because you left a job because there was not enough incentive, or you couldn't stand the management. I've always, someone told me once, you don't leave a job, you leave a manager. Okay. And if the management isn't creating incentives, there's not going to be any reason to continue working hard, so they just do the minimum.
Yeah.
But then you hustle harder, but the team doesn't follow.
Yeah. You're putting in a lot of hours in the day.
Yeah.
Versus them. I mean, a lot of them, I've got some people show up early and they work a little late, and those are the ones that are more in management role. The regular clock in people, they're there. Time starts 5 minutes before, and they're clocking out right when they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But like I said, there are some people that have that buy-in, but they don't have the skin in the game, so to speak. So,
At PSA, I did a class on, hiring and delegating and so forth that aligns perfectly with this type of situation.
Yeah.
And I put up a quote, and it was a quote that I used to say a lot. And that quote was, I work 80 hours a week, but I get to choose which 80. And everyone's looking at it like, oh yeah, that's good.
sure.
And I turned around and I said, that is the stupidest thing that ever came out of my mouth. And it wasn't very good, because I was praising working 80 hours a week. Right.
Yeah. In a way.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like 80 hours sometimes, because
But
I
out of the
enjoy what I
abundance
do.
of the heart, the mouth speaketh.
Right. But if that was back when I didn't have metrics, no clear rewards for my employees.
Yeah.
And we didn't keep, KPIs and scoreboards. Right.
Yeah.
And now I built a whole host of dashboards so that we can keep track of all those things,
Yep.
and automated a lot of those numbers so that we could really easily have a 30,000 foot view
Yep.
of the business. So I used to give bonuses, but they were more tied to how I felt,
Mm,
or how the people felt.
yep.
If they had a good attitude, it was worthy of a bonus. But I've learned that is just not the right way to do it. You have to give bonuses tied to performance,
Yeah.
period. Um,
Hey, we've got a
Not
few
just because
people.
you like the guy
Got a few
or
people
girl.
jumping on board. Say hey to a few before we keep going. Garrison, good
Good
morning.
morning, Garrison.
Dr. Dan is in the house. Both bad leadership and stuck in a rut.
Yep.
Uh, Not sure what that comment was about, but yes, I agree. Hopefully, you're not stuck in a rut, Dr. Dan.
Morning,
Hey, good
Terry.
morning, Terry. Morning, y'all. For sure.
And everybody else that's out there that's not chiming in, good morning.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you.
But no, you're right. You love your business. They typically don't. You've got the skin in the game. They don't. And that's okay. Vision's a gift, but it's not a compensation plan, right? So
Right.
you can inspire, but you also need to align. So
A lot of problematic areas is when, as a business owner, you ask the employees for more than what they're doing currently, but you're not paying more.
yeah,
Okay, you should have that benchmark of, for this pay, this is what I expect out of you. Period. That's your line in the sand. This is what I expect for that pay. But you start asking for more than that, you better compensate in some way. It's either got to be in time, money, or bonuses. Things like
Dr.
that.
Dan said is referring to why I normally left a job is what he said. So I
Yep.
get it. I mean, sometimes they just feel like dead end jobs to you. I worked for a really big corporation when I was 19. Not going to say the corporation name, but it was a worldwide corporation and they had a local distribution center here. And I worked for them for 4 months. And I was promised one thing when I started. And 4 months in, I was still doing the original thing I was hired for, not the thing I was promised that I would be moving into. And when I had that conversation with my manager, hey, Jim, what's going on here? I was really hoping by this time I'd be looking at doing some training on this next step. Oh, yeah, no, I don't think that's going to happen. And it was just like, I looked around and I saw people who were there that had been there 10, 15, 20 years making not much more money than I was. And I'm like, I don't want to be that, right? So in my mind, I was looking for where can I advance in a career, right? That wasn't it, which is crazy because they're a huge corporation and I couldn't see myself advancing anymore at that corporation. So I quickly left that one. And surprisingly enough, that's why I started becoming an electrician. Shayna's dad was looking for somebody to jump on board. And so look at me now.
Look at you now. You're not doing any of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't work for the big corporation, but I mean, just think about that in the mindset of your team. Can they advance where they're at? If you're running an appliance repair company, uh, when somebody comes on a board, in my opinion, running a truck is like running your own business. Most of my guys, I would get them to the point where you're running your own truck. This is like your own business, and you're going to get a piece of that pie with commissions, with incentives or whatever you want to call it, commission pay, piece pay. I mean, there's performance pay. There's all kinds of different ways to look at it. So we've brought that into my office help too. Even with our CSRs, they hit certain booking percentages, and so on. I mean, we dive into the different ways to pay people, but the bottom line is you got to find a way to incentivize them and give them a piece of the pie, so to speak, in my opinion. And when you got them running out the truck, it's their own little business, and you gotta treat them that way. Hey, you're taking off in your own business today, even though it says my name on it. This is your own business, and think about it that way. Hmm.
Yeah, getting employees to completely take ownership of things is
Saul,
tough.
Is this Saul from?
Saul is
It's a different
came
login
here
there. He must be watching from
to
YouTube.
kick butt and chew bubble gum, but he's all out of bubble gum.
Hey, nope, sorry, bro. I ain't got no bubble gum on my. But yeah, turning. We talked a little bit about DISC earlier. I'm looking through notes here. I think might as well just talk about it. So DISC is something that we utilize when hiring. So if you're not familiar with DISC, DISC has been around for a long time. It's kind of a job. It's an assessment, a personality assessment. You can go to disc.myofficehelp.com, learn more about it, and if you want to purchase one, you can go through and do a DISC assessment. Talk to me, reach out to me. I'm a DISC consultant, DISC coach. I love talking about DISC. Scan the QR code. We can have a little bit more of a conversation about that. But in our Indeed application online, there's even a short DISC assessment that they go through. It's 10 questions. And that gives us the opportunity to learn more about that person and if they're even a good fit for the role we're looking for. I've taught this class a few different times at different places, ASTE, PSA, some other places, but what are you looking for in a CSR? What are you looking for in a technician? And so I've got the numbers down on what we want to look for a CSR. So for us, it's a high SC. So you've got D is dominant. Oh boy, I'm bum. I had somebody just message me during that. Sorry. So D is for dominant, I is for influencing, S is for steady, and C is for compliant. All right. But so we tend to look for somebody who is a high S and C. So high steady, they like safety, security, they like, they really care about their family, their surroundings. And then C is they like the numbers, they like the details. That's the short version of those two. So that's what we tend to look for in a CSR. And so whenever they put in that application, we're able to see, do they meet that criteria? Do we want to have a deeper conversation with them? If they're outside of that criteria, let's say they're high I, high ID or high IC. Usually that's a little bit better for salespeople. So am I looking for a salesperson right now? Not necessarily. So I need somebody more on the phones and to do that. So DISC is great, man. It's great for gaining insights on building better, stronger relationships, both with you, your clients. As a service technician, knowing DISC and really understanding it is great because you go out and you instantly, within a matter of a couple of questions, even I usually say within a minute or two, you're able to tell what that customer is. And if they're a high C, just give me the details. I just want the details. Or if they're high D, very dominant, driven, right? They just want to know how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take to get fixed, right? So you have that conversation and you're able to move it along a little bit better. And I don't know, it helps quite a bit. But like I said, if you want more information, you can scan the QR code, talk to me a little bit more, or go to disc.myofficehelp.com and learn more about it. But I think it's great. So
yeah, I think it's great too. But I have shifted to use it more just for the personality aspect of it.
Yeah.
Not for the role aspect.
And Saul, being a high IS, perfect for the position you're in. You're in sales, right? And I don't know if you're in any kind of management of some sort, but knowing Saul a little bit, I think that'd be a good fit. But yeah, the high S makes sense with you being in sales. I'm a high IS as well. So very cool.
I'm definitely a high D.
High D.
I'm a big D.
Big D.
Everybody talks about it here in the office.
Well, if your team doesn't know how to measure their own success, you can't expect accountability. If they can't score themselves daily, they can't win. So talking about turning those goals, your company goals, into KPIs or personal scorecards. So for your techs, your jobs completed each day, how many callbacks, in appliance world, first time fix rate, customer satisfaction, reviews, your average ticket. You could make a KPI for everything. You KPI them to death. So I would say try to keep it a little bit simple. Maybe
but those
come down to
5 are your top 5.
Yeah, 3 to 5 I think is more than enough. For your office staff on the CSR side of things, your call answer rate, like how quick they answer the call, the booking percentage, the follow up conversion. For our CSRs, we have a minimum standard of 85%. There are some in our industry that are minimum of 80%. We're 85%, but we're often booking in that 93%, 92, 93% rate. So, but if you make those scorecards visible and important to them, the effort becomes measurable. And that's when that accountability clicks and they start almost taking ownership of it. And then if you
Absolutely.
incentivize it, and I know we'll dive into that a little bit more if you want to dive into that one.
Yeah. So how do we tie this into compensation? You gotta have the right pay structures that work for your business, right? Tiered pay tied to the KPIs. So this is purely performance pay. The more you perform, the more you make. It's that simple. Quality-based bonuses. It's not just hitting those numbers, but are you hitting those numbers in a quality way? Are you hitting those numbers and still getting the customer satisfaction? That's the balance that you've got to get, right?
Yeah.
You can hit KPIs all day long, but are you doing it at the customer satisfaction expense for the company? So quality based bonuses is huge. Make sure you find that balance there. Your first time complete bonuses, you could tie that directly to one KPI. You can have monthly performance scorecards with the thresholds. It's super simple. Hit the numbers, you earn more. You miss the numbers, you earn your normal base pay. Yeah. It's not a penalty. It's just reality. So it's an easy way to communicate that and set those benchmarks and say, this is our threshold, our line in the sand. These are our KPIs, and these are the benchmarks that we want to hit. And if you hit them, great. We're going to compensate you. Yeah. How can you expect your team to reach a goal that you have not drawn and laid out for them, and they don't have something tangible to reach for?
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of this comes in.
It don't have to be complicated, and so many people try to make it complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having those weekly KPI scoreboards reviewed with your team, do some one-on-one coaching, and make that consistent, and then be transparent with the numbers. There's no reason that you can't share your numbers with your team. A lot of people are like, yeah, but I don't want them to see how much the business is making. Well, I mean, I can tell you right now, you're not making as much as you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more that you make, the more they should be making as well, right? So that's why it's called a team, because the entire team needs to be moving in the same direction as each other. So otherwise it just creates a lot of tension.
Yeah, for sure.
So given the fact that now you start sharing, you start moving in the right direction, in the same direction, and you're all starting to win. Maybe it took you a while to get there, but 90% of all the problems in business come down to communication with your team. I've experienced this for decades. I've seen it time and time again. Whenever I have problems in my business or with my team, 90% of the time it comes down to a communication problem when I look at the core root cause. And once you communicate everything clearly, succinctly, and everybody understands everything clearly, Now what do you do?
Yeah.
So you got to celebrate the wins and fix issues quietly. So public praise reinforces behavior, but private accountability corrects performance without humiliation. So incentives plus recognition are going to equal momentum. So now, what's next, Jason?
So I don't know. I had somebody ask me a question privately about the disc stuff. So I was reading that for a second. I apologize. Uh, Celebrating the wins, loudly, and then fix those issues quietly. So culture isn't built on pep talks; it's built on consistency. And public praise builds your culture, and private correction protects it. And I think that's how you create momentum. People know what wins look like, and they see you celebrating them. I We have our weekly one-to-ones. So Tracy, who's our team success coach and client success coach, she heads up the one-to-ones each week with each team member. So she sits quietly with them 15, 20 minutes, however, listens to them. Hey, how are things going? And then, then talks about, okay, here's what some things that we need to work on. Here's what's going well. Here's what we need to work on. So that coaching is done in private. It's in, the admin office separate from the call center floor. And then once a week, we split the team into two, because we can't have everybody off the phones at the same time. So we split the team into two, and it's hey, as a team collectively, here's what's going on. Here's what's going on great. And then there's individual praise at that one in front of everybody. So I think it's important, and that really helps with the culture aspect. In our team, we don't have the remote workers. Everybody's in house. So it helps to create that culture. So think about that in your own business as an appliance repair company, as an electrician, whatever you may be doing. So even with your teams, um, have those weekly meetings that you're doing training, that you're doing praising. Hey, this week Terry got 15, 5-star reviews. How freaking incredible is that? Terry, come spin the wheel, and Terry wins a $50 gift card or whatever. Think how much that will build your culture, and how much more people are going to be like, wow, I want to have more reviews so I can get a $50 gift card. It's that culture, right? So, and
Yeah.
even at, I was just talking with somebody at PSA about giving a financial aspect for reviews. I don't know why we're getting on reviews, but let's talk about that. It's an incentive of some sort. But I would always give out $20 for a review, and if they got their name mentioned in the review, I'd make an extra $5. So it's $25 for a review if they got a review on Google, Facebook, and if they would do a video testimonial that I could use on YouTube, I would give them $50. And somebody was like, "Well, how do you get your technicians to do that?" I said, "It's really simple. They listen for the words, right? In the training and the coaching and the teaching them to listen for what customers say. Mrs. Jones would say something like, "Man, it was just so nice to have you guys out. It was such a peaceful, easy process working with you, and all. I really appreciate that." Something as simple as that. I'd be like, Miss Jones, we have some awesome video testimonials, and what you just said would make a great video testimonial. Would you mind if I just break out my phone real quick and record you saying something like that? I don't tell you, time after time, you go look at Service Detectives YouTube channel, we got tons of reviews on there just like that. And it was as simple as that, as just breaking out your phone and recording them. Now, some customers would be like, I don't know. Well, hey, what if I took an extra $25 off your bill today, if I was able to do that? A little incentive for the customer goes a long way as well. And then for the technician, getting paid for that. So incentives don't have to be complicated. Like I said previously, make it simple, right? At one point when we were incorporating incentives and different things, we had different amounts based on what they were doing. Like surge protection was a big deal, and I believe every home should have surge protection. So we incentivize that, and so they would have that conversation. Now, there's a fine line between just being a creepy salesman and really making sure that what they need is what they need. And so that comes in the teaching and the training your techs. So I would never push something on somebody that I didn't feel like they needed it, and I wouldn't put something in somebody's home that I wouldn't put in my own home. So think about that when you're training your techs as well. So
Let's talk about this one. Could you be putting in place unattainable goals and causing more frustration with your employees?
heck
I
yeah.
would say put in place fair goals that both parties can benefit from.
Yep. Yeah, 100% things can get frustrating.
Yeah.
It's got to win for you and it's got to win for them. Um, it can't be one-sided where I got to be careful there. There's a lot of companies that do profit sharing. Win Electric, great example. If you're part of the Win family, you purchase your plies from Win Nelson, Win Electric, Win Wholesale, all that. They're all profit sharing. Every one of their employees owns a piece of the business, and at the end of the year, they each get a nice big check if they've done really well. And that's the one thing I liked about working with Win Electric is that I knew at the end of the year, if they did good, John, who's my good friend, he's going to be getting a nice check, right? And that was like a nice little bonus for them. And some years it was really good. So everybody's got to win when it comes to that. So yeah, I agree, Saul.
Yeah. So let's talk about some action steps before we wrap up. This week, define 3 tech KPIs and 2 office KPIs. Create simple weekly scorecards. Introduce a tiered incentive plan. Hold a 15-minute Monday goal meeting. Real simple. I mean, 15 minutes probably isn't going to be all that long, or enough time to do it, but maybe do a 30-minute goal meeting. Track, pay, and then repeat. It's set your goals, use SMART goals, set your goals for your KPIs, and make sure they're attainable. Make sure they're within reach, because if you can never reach them, it's just going to be defeating for everyone involved, from top to bottom. And it's just going to cause animosity within the team. So make sure that everything is attainable and you can move and shift as needed. One thing, let's see, let me pop up what you just put up.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there. Everybody wants to check out Disc, and you want to, I put a discount on there. So if you go to
You put a
disc.myofficehelp.com,
discount?
disc, yeah, disc.myofficehelp.com, and disc MOH25 for 25% discount. It's only $50, even at normal price, so it's very inexpensive. Some of these disc assessments can be upwards of $200-300. I know I'm with another organization. We charge almost $300 for it. It's more in depth. This is a real simple one. It's the same one we use for WinWire. So if you want to check it out, yeah, I'd love to get some of you guys feedback
Yeah,
from
and
it.
if you've got a team already, you don't need to use Disc only for evaluating, potential hires, right?
So Jenny,
Do those existing team members,
Jenny
you'll learn
loves
how to work with each other better.
Yeah, Jenny loves the disc. She's probably my biggest fan when it comes to disc. When we got all this set up, and we ended up setting up an affiliate for her own setup. I mean, that's how many disc people she sends over for us. So, yeah, if you want to learn more about it, I think it's a great tool when hiring. When hiring for your own personality, like literally, if you ever come to our office, you're more than welcome to come to our office in Energy. Everybody at our office has their disc score. And so it helps with communicating, right? I can walk up to one person and see she's a high D and be like, all right, I know how to communicate with her. I got to be short, brief, to the point. Walk over to the next person, they're a high S. Okay, I got to be careful what they say, because what I could say could come off really harsh, right? And, they could just stop and drop and cry. So it really helps with communicating with people.
Yeah. I'm going to throw something else out here real quick.
Saul says they say 3 out of 2 people are bad at fractions.
If you want another resource, this one I think is a little better for dealing with hiring than Disc. DISC is a personality assessment. But if you've ever heard of Colby assessments are more for evaluating how people actually perform tasks and decisions, how they solve problems and make decisions. So other than, DISC is more the personality and feelings and how they react to different people, things like that. Colby is a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of problem solving and decision making. So I have personally shifted in my business, to doing both. So we give Colby assessments, and then on our short list, that's when we give the DISC assessments. So we also know if they're in alignment with everything for that role as well. So we're doing it with a twofold system with two completely different focused assessments.
I think the Colby, I agree, is a great one. It's good for, like you were saying, the job fit, role alignment, workflow design.
They each have their own place, but and they're completely different types of assessments.
Yep.
But when you combine them both together, it's a really powerful thing.
I'd say DISC is great for the communication and leadership stuff. The Colby is more for maybe even like a role fit and even like efficiency stuff. So
yes, it's definitely, your more worker bee type of an assessment.
Yep. Been a great one. If you like what you see, hear, feel, I don't care what you feel, I guess. I don't know. Be sure to pay the fee, which is simply just like, subscribe, share to Service Alliance Group, My Office Help, and Appliance Marketing Pros on your favorite social media site or YouTube. Some people think YouTube social media. I would suggest that it is. But we got
November 15th
Mastermind.
Zach's gonna be going over goals to succeed with and helping everybody map out their goals for next year. So this mastermind is going to be a really good way for everyone to go ahead and have a clear plan and map out an actual path to your goal plan.
There you go. And then turn those into KPIs and incentives.
Absolutely. You got to reverse engineer all of it.
So don't wait to January to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, by then it's too late. All right. We'll see you all next week.
Make it a great day.
Have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Morning Grind podcast by Service Alliance Group. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for appliance repair business resources.